Hello YouTube, welcome back to another amazing video. Today we're gonna be doing something very not traditional for my channel. I'm gonna be reacting to things, but it's not gonna be the kind of reaction video where you just catch me stopping the video and correcting someone. In fact, this time I'm gonna stop the video multiple times and potentially correct someone, and I thought who better to start with than the info final boss himself, the coaching mentorship guru final boss in his final form with the invention of AI, the last product humanity will ever make. And that would be none other than, I just said nother. That would be none other than Mr. Iman Gadzhi. Now, if I look unshaved and potentially a little homeless, tell that to my 30K watch. And let's move on with the video. I actually have to be entirely honest. Iman is the inspiration behind why I went into info business in the first place. Like his videos are perfect for people that want to go through what I call entrepreneurial loop, which is where you read all the books, you read Mark Manson, you read the Daily Stoic every day, you do all these things, but at the end of the day, you never actually make a significant enough move other than the typical things that people get stuck at when they're trying to start their own business, which is researching, switching products 24/7 because they think the last thing doesn't work. The reason I say it's stupid is because, like, if you're trying to start your business and you want to start a business with somebody online, like, good luck finding someone you trust, A. And B, your time is way better spent actually learning an important skill before you ever start any kind of business and giving it away for free for like honestly up to a year you could be doing free work, and then you've set the reputation as the guy that can do it because like you're still not good enough in the beginning to be making like contracts and getting people to pay for your service. At least I don't think you would be, unless you're some genius wizard like Pavel Durov or Elon Musk. If you're not those two people, then probably shouldn't charge people for a service you've never done before. And we're gonna watch his most recent video. I already kind of started it, and then I was like, it would be great to react to this and fact check it. So that's what we're doing. We're fact checking Iman Gadzhi's video, which is called "The New Way to Make Money with AI in 2026," and in brackets it says plus $10,000 per month. So let's see. Maybe I've been doing everything wrong for the past 2 years. Let's ignore my slow ass internet. Let me just check my notifications because I have to see if any clients texted me.
Best AI business that you can start today that will actually make you money. And it's probably
Okay, let's answer that straight away without making you watch an entire video. The best AI business to start that will actually make you money is just to build bots for people, like Telegram bots, Discord bots. And I mean bots that you can interact with, bots that are customized. Because, like, you don't have ChatGPT in Discord, you don't have ChatGPT in Telegram, and people would love to have their own bot that they can use on those platforms for their offers. So, if I was starting out, the first thing I would do is I would find as many online fitness coaches as possible that are between the 10K to 26K follower range on Instagram. I would DM them and be like, hey, uh, if you're interested, I would love to talk to you about setting up an AIU for your coaching offer because I strongly believe that within the next 5 years, coaching is just going to change its paradigm entirely. And you have to be on that next wave of people with AI in your coaching offer because people just have more questions than you have the time to answer. And you deserve to be freed from the shackles of your business. This is how I would approach it more or less. Um, and then, yeah, you would just build out the bot. You can do so with Claude, Chat, whatever. You don't really need to go to university for this stuff. And then you would charge them on a monthly retainer. Don't charge a setup fee, just charge like 175 euro or dollars per month. And then you get enough clients and you're making like a solid. I mean, you wouldn't get to 10K super quickly because you need a lot of referrals and you need to do a really good job on your first try. So I'd say probably about 2K you can realistically make in like a month of work.
a question you've asked yourself a lot over the space of the last few months, because let's face it, AI is everywhere. It is the word on everyone's lips right now. I mean, just go look at the stock market. It's the reason the economy is booming right now. And it's crazy because millionaires are being created every single week. And in fact, it's even been touted that AI will create the world's first billion-dollar one-person company.
I've also said this before, and I mean, I do believe it. I think it's super possible, but I'm gonna change my stance on this now. What's actually gonna happen is somebody with a multi-million dollar company is going to commission an AI automation agency of some sort that's super high level, like Deloitte, like McKinsey, because they have their own departments for that, and replace all their employees with AI. And then they will essentially be $1 billion one person company, maybe no person company. That's the first thing that's going to happen before we ever have a $1 billion company just get started by a person with AI. That's like, it's super unlikely. It's possible, but it's just unlikely.
And by the way, I'm speaking from experience. Literally just a few days ago, I was in New York visiting the offices of one of my companies, Lyra, an AI software company where I'm the largest shareholder. Now, earlier this year, we
Girls wearing a
recently raised $6
Daytona.
million at a $40 million valuation. And Lyra is just one example. I've invested in a number of other AI companies, and we
YC
built several
investment
of
is
our
not a
own
flex.
in-house. And what this means
It's
is that
dead.
I have front row seats to everything happening in this industry, from what's scaling to what's failing to what's quietly.
Okay, he's setting social proof. He's saying, I mean, this is the Hormozy move. Like, if you've noticed, Iman's content has become super Alex Hormozy, which I think is a little bit boring. I miss his older stuff. That was way more like Matrixy. But then it was also super similar to Andrew Tate's content. Andrew just knows that you don't need to put a bunch of editing quality. People will just know what you're talking about. That you know you're talking that you know what you're talking about just by listening to you. You don't need to put a bunch of effort into editing, which is something I stand by as well. Like, if you've lived it and people hear you speak, they'll believe you when you're talking about this stuff.
Bulletproof systems.
Bulletproof systems. You see, the issue is that thanks to the EU AI Act and just AI laws constantly getting tighter and tighter, there's also been the recent event where people are going around saying like ChatGPT is not going to offer legal or medical advice anymore, which is just untrue because why would they lose out on these two extremely important revenue points? And by that logic, shouldn't Google also stop providing articles and the ability to look up if like you have symptoms of some disease and like try to look up and find out about it? Or if you don't know how to register a company, do I just stop asking Google anymore? I have to go to real consultants? Like, bro, come on. Seriously? Lock in.
And seamless execution. Now, I'm not just gonna list 3
He's
random
got a
business
nice
ideas and just
watch on.
leave you there.
That's a
No, no,
nice
no, no.
Patek.
Listen, I'm gonna break down each one using 5 key
Iman has
categories
taste.
so that way you can make a calculated decision about which model fits you the best. Because listen, we're all different. We all have
Okay.
different strengths and weaknesses. And because of that, I want to honestly give you the pros and cons of each model. Now, the first thing that you need to understand about making money is that it comes down to the value you create for.
Okay, look. The video is called The New Way to Make Money with AI 2026 Make 10 Gray per month. 10 Gray. New currency unlocked. The amount of money you get is associated with the amount of value you provide. Like, that's just typical business advice. Like, anyone should know that. Super beginner level stuff. Like, if you struggle to understand this, you probably won't make it in business because you just have to instantly know when someone is offering you less money than you deserve that you just say, no, I bring more value to the table than you're paying me for. So I think you should pay me this much, or I will find someone that does. Because if you truly know that you're worth the shit you're asking for, then people will pay you that amount because they'll believe you when you say you're worth that. How do you think coaches like him make their money? Like, you pay 300 euros for a monthly subscription to someone's course because you believe that the value they're offering in exchange for the money you're giving is worth it.
By taking care of boring, repetitive tasks, they can reallocate that time to tasks that make them more money. And this is exactly what the first AI business we're discussing does.
There we go.
And that is the AI automation agency.
Haha,
An AI
that's
automation
my
agency
business.
helps businesses save time and money by replacing necessary yet repetitive tasks with smart AI systems. I mean, think about all of the manual work that happens in most companies.
Video
Answering
quality.
leads, sending.
Hello? Who's downloading Trojan viruses on my Wi-Fi network?
An AI automation agency helps businesses save time and money by replacing necessary yet repetitive tasks with smart AI systems. I mean, think about all of the manual work that happens in most companies: answering leads, sending follow up emails, scheduling calls, updating spreadsheets. With automation tools, all of that can run on autopilot. As the agency owner, your job is to go into a business, find where they're wasting the most time, and install AI systems that can handle it
So far, so
automatically
good. He's
24/7.
speaking facts.
Companies love this because it directly impacts their bottom line. They get more done with fewer people.
Instead of framing it as we will save you more money by installing AI, you always have to ignore the time element and focus on we will turn your bottlenecks into an advantage, into a competitive advantage. When you phrase it like that, it makes your sales offer sound so much more battle worthy and actually worth getting. Because businesses are, at the end of the day, they're like armies, they need their ammunition. And if you frame it like that, then you plead sentiment with their competitive spirit. You align with their goal of actually getting to the top. Because if a business doesn't want to be a monopoly at the end of the day, you probably don't want to work with them, especially in AI automation niche. Like, ambition equals spending power, and unambitious business owners just don't want to spend. They want to be safe, and safety is the death of any business, funny enough.
In my
I
own
just can't
businesses.
get over his
So I
watch.
personally
Look, the thing is, if you're going into AI, you should not separate offers by, oh, how difficult it is. You should just be all encompassing. Like Peter Thiel pleads to becoming a monopolist because it's not that your chances of becoming a monopolist are high. It's the fact that if you don't think in monopolist terms in conquering multiple sectors of a niche or an industry, your business is just not going to succeed or be able to outcompete the business owners that do think this way. That genuinely, bro, I'm sorry. I have COVID and COVID makes my brain work slow. Businesses that generally think of themselves in the long term as monopolist owners and CEOs will just outperform ones that are like, let's specialize. Everyone says niche down, niche down, niche down. But I don't see the benefit in niching down. Like, I've genuinely never gotten a better return from trying to niche down in my service offering. Look, I mean, look at all the reasons why somebody should niche down. It takes time to train a team. And if you train a team on one specific topic, you have to train them on another topic and handle more departments. But it kind of fits within his argument as well, which is stop hiring people, essentially just include AI automation so people don't have to expand their teams. Great. Which means I can expand my service offering using only AI without hiring more. There is no loss for me because I still use the same tech stack and have the same access to information. In fact, even more access to information. So this old timer thinking of, oh yeah, you need to niche down, that's bullshit. Don't subscribe to that. Do as much as you can, as much as possible within the limited time frame that you have of conscious thinking ability and critical skill. Because currently, post my sickness, I have none. You can tell because my access to vocabulary is extremely limited. Yeah, so look, out of the three, N8N is the best. Even better if you learn LangChain. And with the help of AI tools like Claude and Gemini, wouldn't recommend GPT for this. It hallucinates too much. Go with Claude. And honestly, it's so much easier than you think. It really is. People make it sound complicated when it's not. So, look, going back to my point, you have an AI automation agency. Let's say I have an offer for coaches where I digitalize their personalities and their likeness into a bot that their clients can communicate with effectively and continue to coach them even when the coach isn't available. One offer, simple build, one industry. Great. Now, what if I do the exact same bot build for a manager or a CEO? So it replaces the way they would respond to their employees. They would forward messages to managers or C-level suite when they're not available or when they have way more queries from employees to handle, from subordinates to handle than they can distribute. Same thing, right? So it's the same offer, but different industries. I am way more likely to sell this offer to a coach, Not only because I'm going to be way more likely to build this successfully for a coach solo than I am trying to sell this to a small to medium sized business. Enterprise level clients have way more of a focus on handling private information super carefully with encrypted systems. That's why they would never use something like n8n Maker Zapier, because they would use LangChain and they have their own internal development teams and departments handling this. Like, you think BlackRock is using n8n, bro? I mean, you're not going to get BlackRock as a client, but I'm just trying to make it clear that the further you go up, the more serious the businesses get, which means if a business accepts semi decently built automations by someone with low experience, it's very unlikely that they're a serious business. And at the end of the day, something that Iman needs to point out very carefully in these videos is that your network is still everything. Like, the service offering comes second. If you don't know anyone, or you're not charismatic, or you don't know how to sell, good luck. You're just not going to manage in this business. You're not. You're not going to manage in any business. You need to have a network. You need to go to events where you meet rich people, people with power. Frank Underwood very clearly said, power is like real estate. It's all about location, location, location. And what he means by that is you don't just have one. You don't just own one house or one apartment. You have multiple, which means you have your hands in many pies, many pockets, not just one. And by creating this network, this worldwide web of your connections, of people you know, of people that you have done things for and been of service to, enough for them to trust you and see you as a hitman of accomplishment, is the only way you succeed. Bottom line. So don't try to learn how to do any of this until you've built up a network, until you've met rich people, until you've tried very hard to connect with people online or in person. In person is better. And offer them real value, offer them your time for free. Because right now, if you don't have a network to sell to right now that you could just call up and be like, hey, I want to build an AI automation agent for you that's going to turn your bottleneck into a competitive superpower, then stop and just go out and meet people. Go to business events, Eventbrite, I don't know. Find them somehow. Because any successful company usually has two founders. First one is operational and technical, like myself, who builds everything, who understands the systems deeply. And the second one is the one that, without even knowing it, has built up a network of connections by just being a social and charismatic human being, which is my partner. And this makes the perfect combo. Just good luck doing this alone. It's super difficult. Never fly solo. Find someone you can trust. Work with them to the end. The Tates are brothers, but Iman has partners in all his businesses, people he deeply trusts. This is what the game is all about. You need to have a team. You won't solo wolf through this shit. So become good at socializing, first and foremost.
Software stack in the process. You're also going to need an understanding of CRM platforms like HubSpot, Close, and Salesforce, communication platforms like Slack and Microsoft Teams. And then
Go
once
high
you
level.
understand the
Use
software
go high
stack and the
level.
automation side, many AI automation agencies piece it all together by building custom AI chatbots. Another skill that is
I also have a
difficult
nice
if you
watch,
don't come from a software development
see very
background.
well.
Time
It's
intensity,
nice.
high. And the reason I say this is because each business is different and requires a unique setup. You're going to spend
That's
time
true.
auditing processes, configuring tools, handling revisions, and maintaining
All
broken
true.
automation.
So far,
it
he's
usually
cooking.
isn't a one and done build out, so you effectively work with companies long term. Scalability, moderate. You see, the fact that AI automation agencies don't work on a project basis and they actually work on a retainer basis actually impacts scalability. With more clients comes more work. So when you run out of capacity personally, you become forced to hire in order to scale. Because your team needs to have technical expertise, these aren't cheap hires. So
yeah.
from a scale
I mean, in most cases, this is true, but judging by how quickly AI agents are just getting good at coding, you really wouldn't need more than 3 people max in a development team with AI to build all of this out and just have multiple computers running. And then have some kind of overseer system that you custom build that makes sure that all the code is complete. And then you get a notification on Telegram saying, hey, Claude Sonnet 4.5 working on project A has completed this segment. What should it do next? Then you just text the Telegram bot and Claude continues. That's it. That's what I do. It works amazing. Use Claude, seriously. Don't listen to anyone telling you business with ChatGPT. Like, just use Claude for technical and development stuff. So yeah, you don't necessarily need to hire more, but if you're locked in for a very long contract, best case scenario 12, 24 months, make sure your terms are crystal clear that like, yes, you're paying us monthly, but that doesn't mean we're going to add more features. It just means we're going to work and get paid for the scope of the service. So if your NDAs and your contracts are bulletproof, that's what a bulletproof system really has to be. The most important one is your NDA and your contract. If those two things are so crystal clear that you do not owe them extra developmental features, and they sign the contract, which means they're locked in with you, which means you offer the service that they pay for, then the only way they can request that you add more stuff to the system in any regard is if they pay more, which is fair. This is business at the end of the day. They are not your buddies, they are your clients, and clients are provided what they pay for. Especially in the beginning when you're starting out, you're going to be charging a lot less than you can because you just don't have the brand name that you wish you had to be able to charge higher prices.
Scalability standpoint, I'm going to give it a moderate. I think it's pretty clear that AI automation is pretty technical, but you will be rewarded for that. Businesses are willing to spend on the service. And that is exactly why the income potential is high. Depending on size and scope of work, clients can justify $3,000 to $10,000 a month retainers. Margins are
This is
high
accurate. This
if
is
you
what we
automate
charge.
delivery, but expensive hires when you really start scaling will eat into some of these margins. Now, let's talk about stress levels. And for
Hiring
this,
is
I'm
not
gonna give it
expensive.
a high.
Look, anyone who started off with agency, especially like course gurus, they all did what's called the overseas method. And they all pretend like they didn't do it. They all think they're all high and mighty and morally and ethically fair. But the reality is, when they were starting out, they didn't want to spend much on employee contracts either. So what they did was they would hire Indians and Filipinos for $3 an hour to do the same quality of work someone in Europe or in the Western civilization would do. They just do that. And none of them are exempt from that. They all pretend like they didn't do it, or they have videos where it's like briefly mentioned, and nobody does the Dokes move like in Dexter and goes back to investigate and actually watch those videos, but they'll say they hire overseas talent, which just really means they're hiring Indians or Filipinos, and they act like they're all high and mighty. So, yeah, everyone's done this. Like, I've done this as well, so I don't know why people are acting like it's such a horrible thing. Like, you want your margins. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because if the quality of margin is fantastic for your business and the quality of product you're delivering is still the exact same, and you're good at training people that are overseas talent, then great. Fantastic. You make your money and your client gets the product they paid for, product or service they paid for. So overall, it's totally fair way to do it if you're starting out, and I recommend it. Even though with AI, now it's going to become less and less relevant, because like, why would I hire a junior developer from overseas when I can just work with Claude Code? Makes no sense. Moving on.
As much as it's a great business model for those who have a love for tech, it can be a headache because businesses rely on the systems you build. So if anything breaks, you need to be on call to fix it as soon as possible. This makes the daily operations very stressful in comparison to many other business models.
Stress is in every business. Like, if you're looking at this and you're like, oh no, I don't want to be stressed out, you're just not going to make it. Like, stress is the test on the limit of how much you can handle. And this margin, this little line that you are scared of crossing, will just increase with the more responsibility you take on. Like, just man up, lock in. Like, locking in means, hey, there's reasons to be stressed around you, there's reasons for you not to do shit because everything is stressful. But how will you learn if you're not under pressure? How are diamonds made? Same points he brings up himself. So, like, yeah. Again, I have nothing bad to say about Iman. I think this video so far is pretty good, like handling out the basics. But a lot of people misinterpret a lot of what he says as like, oh, it's stressful, I shouldn't take this on. I'll listen to the other ideas that are less stressful, which we're gonna hear out anyways. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you're avoiding stress in a business, you're just not gonna make it. Like, most successful, most important entrepreneur in all of entrepreneurial history is Elon Musk. You think that man's things about stress, bruv? Bruv. Like, come on.
Because what you're creating and managing is a core
Bro, that
part of these
watch is
businesses'
so nice.
infrastructure. So it's not something that they take lightly. And if something breaks, you're on the line for it. So, with all of that being said, an AI automation agency is the perfect business model for anyone with a very strong background in software development, but I wouldn't recommend this business model to beginners. So, as
You don't need to be a super strong background software developer. You just need to know how to be curious and ask the right questions with AI. Like, AI is the best learning resource when you're starting out. Just build stuff to automate for yourself, like your own client outreach, your own cold calling systems. Start with that, do it for yourself. And yeah, you're going to have a lot of costs, but like API costs or hiring someone or your own time cost. Like, it's between sleep, letting AI do it, letting overseas talent do it. So honestly, just pick AI. Like, it's the cheapest. And no, you don't need a strong software development background. I'm self-taught. Like, all I used was Python Crash Course. It's literally sitting in my book library, and I still go back to it when I need to like refresh critical programming skills and thinking. So just get Python Crash Course on Amazon. That's what I bought. It's like a 53-euro book. Super worth it. Go through the whole book and then start using AI, and like you'll just be better than everyone else at being a junior developer. So yeah, you do need to be at least semi-smart and indefatigable. 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 Oh man. I'm sorry, Andrew. Indefatigable. Whatever. You have to be that. Like, you just can't give up when stuff doesn't work. Like, if something breaks and you've gone through the Python Crash Course book, you understand simple debugging principles, you'll figure it out eventually. You just can't just stop, you know? Like, don't give up. Don't be lazy.